ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामने गौरतुसे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we welcome everyone for today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So yesterday we discussed from chapter 1 and verse number 27. Yes, 27. तान् समीक्ष्य च कौन्तेय सर्वान् बन्धून् अवस्थितान् कृपया पर्याविष्टो विसीदन् इदम् अब्रवीत्. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. So, as soon as Lord Krishna, on the request of Arjuna, he put the chariot in between the two armies. Specifically, he put the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona, who were great objects of affection for Arjuna. So immediately, Arjuna became overwhelmed. He became absorbed in bodily concept of life, and he developed a great compassion. Compassion. Kripaya Parayavishto. Paraya means of high grade compassion he developed. And because of this high grade compassion, Arjuna, he started lamenting. So this is one lesson. Although compassion is considered to be a good quality, isn't it? Everyone thinks of being compassionate. Compassion is considered to be good quality. But if the compassion is not applied in a proper way, so it can become the bad quality also. And it can, instead of giving a good result, it can give bad result also. So what is the condition if compassion, when compassion becomes bad? Yes, can anyone of Hare Krishna? So there are two kinds of compassion. First is compassion for the body, and second is compassion for the soul. Material compassion and spiritual compassion. So material compassion is based on bodily identification. Material compassion doesn't mean compassion for the material body, but material compassion means compassion based on bodily identification. One may show compassion for material body, and at the same time it may not be material compassion. It may be spiritual also. So the thing is, the point is not that what is the object of compassion. Object of compassion may be material body, but it can be spiritual compassion if it is not based on material identification. It is not based on the Atma Buddhi. On the other hand, the so-called spiritual compassion may also be material compassion if it is based on material bodily identification, the Atma Buddhi. Just like somebody may encourage some person to perform religious activity, which is apparently spiritual. But if religious activities are performed only at the level of material conception of life, to get some material benefit, to keep our material body in a comfortable situation, to give sense gratification to the material body, so then this so-called spiritual compassion, spiritual well-being, or so-called religious function religious encouragement is also material compassion. It is also material, and it is not going to benefit the soul. Uh, and the so and the on the other hand, if a devotee, if a true Vaishnava, a pure devotee, if sometimes it is seen that he is encouraging the material protection, protection of the material body, or he is encouraging some kind of material activity for the sake of spiritual advancement, so that is also not material compassion. That is full spiritual compassion. Just like Srila Prabhupada, although being a sannyasi is not supposed to take part in marriage activity. But Srila Prabhupada conducted marriage ceremonies for his disciples. So some of the some of the sannyasis in India, some of the brahmanas, smart brahmanas and sannyasis, Mayavadi sannyasis, Gyanis, they could not understand the intention of Srila Prabhupada, and they accused him that the see this sannyasi he is acting on material platform. But that was not material platform, because that was the need in Western countries. That was required because all the boys they could not be encouraged to become brahmacharis and sannyasis, because the condition is so bad there. So Srila Prabhupada, in order to situate them properly in Varnashram Dharma, in Grihastha Ashram, so that they can nicely practice Krishna consciousness, he himself conducted marriage ceremonies between his disciples, girl and boy. So that was for the purpose of making them spiritual advancement. Similarly, sometimes a devotee is seen to take care of his body, to take care of the demands of the body. But if the intention is not to utilize the body for the purpose of sense gratification, rather if the intention is to use this material body for the service of Krishna and for the sake of making it comfortable, making it useful for the service of Krishna. If a devotee, uh, concerned devotee, he is taking care of material things, material aspects of the material body, so then that is not material consciousness, that is not material compassion, that is fully spiritual compassion. These things has to be understood very nicely. So in conclusion, we can say material compassion is called material compassion when with the identification of material body, one acts on the platform of material level, on the platform of material consciousness, in order to provide sense gratification to the body. But and spiritual compassion means for the advancement of spirit soul, whatever is required, that is spiritual compassion. So no amount of material compassion can help a living entity to progress in this life or the other life also, next life also. The real spiritual bliss, a real happiness, a real advancement can be achieved only through spiritual compassion, only through only by working for the welfare of the spirit soul. That is actually a real advancement. Just like if a person who is drowning in the river, so another person goes and jumps in order to save that person. So if just takes out the shirt or coat of that drowning man, so is that can we say that he has saved that person? No, the person has already drowned. He has drowned. Uh, he is gone. You have only saved his coat and shirt, nothing else. So similarly, this compassion for the service of humanity, this food, clothing, and shelter. If somebody is providing it, it is similar. It is like something like that you are trying. A person is drowning in the river, and you are just taking out the shirt and coat, and the person has gone. The person is just died. Similarly, if we only take care of the material demands, material bodily facilities of people in general, and we do not encourage or we do not take care of their spiritual advancement, that is also like killing the person and saving his outer garment. That's all. So that is the meaning of showing material compassion. So that's why. So Arjuna is also afflicted with material compassion. Arjuna, Krishna will tell in upcoming verses, Krishna will tell, if you fight in this battlefield and if you kill Bhishma and Drona, so although their material bodies are going to killed, but actually they are going to make a spiritual advancement. They are going to get promoted to higher levels of consciousness, higher standard of life. Either they will get promoted to heavenly planets, where they will live very luxurious life, life full of opulences, or because they are noble souls, they are my devotees, they will get promoted to Vaikuntha planets, the spiritual world. So that is actually real compassion. So why then that is why you should not hesitate to kill them in this battlefield. And that applies for you also and all the soldiers present on your side. But on the other hand, if you become overwhelmed with material compassion, and if you become so anxious to save their material body and you do not fight, so you are only going to save their material body for time being. Eventually, this material body is going to get destroyed. Anyway, nobody can remain eternally alive in this material world. Means the material body cannot remain alive in this material world. So what is the use of showing material compassion? So material compassion is generated from illusory platform, illusion. So illusion of considering oneself to be this body causes material compassion, and which is not at all good for the living entity. Uh, While knowledge of Bhagavad Gita uh, helps one to develop spiritual compassion, which is going to give benefit to the person involved and for the person who is doing this service, material spiritual compassion. So that's why I always remember Kripaya Vishto. So compassion is good, but that same compassion can become bad if it is materially applied and if it is applied through a illusory platform. So this is what we discussed yesterday. So now today's verse is now next. Being overwhelmed with material compassion, now Arjuna is started speaking. So what Arjuna says, Arjuna vacha drishtvaimam swajanam Krishna yayutsum samupastitam sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishusyati. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. So this is the result. So in this verse and in upcoming few verses, Arjuna, with his own mouth, with his own words, he is going to reveal the result of getting afflicted with the material compassion, material consciousness. What is the result? When a person gets affected, when a person's consciousness gets absorbed in material identification, when one becomes immersed in bodily concept of life or dehatma buddhi, considering oneself to be this material body, and in this way, he's sure to get affected with this material compassion, compassion for the material body, for oneself and for others, then surely enough, he is going to get these kind of result, which is explained in this verse and in upcoming verses also, few more verses. So in this verse, what is the symptom of a person who is affected with this bodily disease, this compassion for material body, material compassion or dehatma buddhi? What is the symptom on his body? How does he feel? And the symptoms of his mind will be explained in the later verses. So here, Arjuna, first of all, he's saying, my dear Krishna, O Krishna, Drishtva imam swajanam Krishna. Drishtva means after seeing imam, all these soldiers, after seeing all these soldiers, swajanam, who are my own kinsmen. Krishna, O Krishna, after seeing my own kinsmen. So this word swajanam refers. What does this word signify? Swajanam. This word signifies two things. One thing is Arjuna is misidentifying himself with this material, with his own material body and the material body of his so-called relatives, kinsmen. This is one illusion. This swajanam signifies the illusion of Arjuna. Drishtva swajanam. Arjuna is saying that after seeing my swajan, my kinsman, what kind of kinsman? This material bodily kinsman, which is temporary. Nobody, all these kinsmen, swajanam, they are not going to survive for permanently. They are not going to survive permanently. Everyone knows this, but still, the illusion is such that we think, oh, this is my brother, this is my wife, father, children, relatives, my nation, this, that, so many things. So this is great illusion. So this, first of all, This signifies the illusion. Another significant point, Swajanam, is that another illusion of Arjuna is that he is forgetting the real Swajana, that is Krishna. So Krishna is the real Swajan. Real Swajan means relative, kinsman. Everyone's real Swajan or kinsman or relative is the Supreme Lord Krishna. But instead of accepting Krishna as his real Swajan, his own kinsman, Arjuna, he is telling to Krishna, considering him to be a third person, and he is telling him that after seeing my kinsman, oh my dear Krishna, after seeing Drishtva imam Swajanam, that means this reveals the consciousness of materially conscious material consciousness. This reveals the material consciousness of a person, conditioned soul. So we also have this kind of consciousness. We also go to Krishna and we propose so many things. We ask for so many things for our so-called relatives, so-called friends, relatives. We to go to Krishna and tell, my dear Krishna, I give you this much service. You kindly take care of my parents, my wife, my daughter, my children, my sojan, my relatives, and we forget that whom with whom we are talking. We are talking to the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is our real sojan, real well-wisher, real relative, and all other relatives are not actually directly related to us. They are also relative of Krishna. Uh, so instead of going to Krishna and asking for the welfare of our own relative, we should go to Krishna and ask him that, my dear Krishna, you are my real relative, and all these are also your real relative. So please help me. Please bless me. Please let me know how can I serve you also in a better way, and how can I serve these relatives, these your relatives, so that they may develop perfect relationship with you. So that is the perfect consciousness. So although service will be there, we don't say that we avoid serving our material relatives and friends and circles. No, the service will still be rendered. Just like a devotee, he has to take care. He takes care of his wife, children, parents, and relatives. But the consciousness is important. If he is taking care of his friends and relatives, thinking themselves to his own real relative, and considering Krishna to be a third person, and asking him that you please bless my relatives. So that is the platform of material consciousness. Although this is also good, this is better than not approaching Krishna. So we don't say that this is wrong. This is also appreciated by the Supreme Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Udhara sarve tehi. Anyone who comes to me and asks for anything, material benefit also, so they are very magnanimous soul. But the point is that instead of considering others to be our own relatives, we should think, we should not just think, we should understand that everyone else, whether somebody may be acting like a son for me, my wife, parents, father, daughter, relatives, uncle, parents, whoever he may be. So they may be acting in this position temporarily, but actually they are a real part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. They all are sons and daughters of the Supreme Lord. So my duty is to serve them, definitely, but my duty is to serve them considering them to be relatives of Krishna or servants of the Supreme Lord, and we should serve them in such a manner so that they may develop their lost relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that is the perfect understanding of serving others, showing compassion for others. So Arjuna here, uh, Arjuna is also approaching Krishna and telling Krishna that Tishtva imam swajanam Krishna. Oh my dear Krishna, just after seeing my relatives, I'm feeling compassion. But Arjuna should have told Krishna that, my dear Krishna, I am also your relative, Swajan, you are also my Swajan, and all these warriors, they are also your Swajan, your relatives. Uh, So please tell me, please guide me, how can I serve them and you also, so that both of you can be satisfied? Then Krishna would have told him that, Arjuna, the best service you can do to all these my relatives, my part and parcels, and to me also, by killing them in this battlefield. Because when you kill them in this battlefield for the sake of establishing dharma, all these soldiers who are my part and parcel, they will get liberated. They will get promoted to a higher level of destination. So in this way you can serve me as well as them also. So that is the perfect stage of understanding. But if out of a bodily concept of life, we think others to be our own relative, then this material compassion will get generated. And instead of serving Krishna and all these relatives, this material compassion will lead us to something else. And what is that? That is being stated by Arjuna here. That, my dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, yuyutsum samupasthitam, I feel. Who is feeling? Arjuna is feeling because of material concept of life. Arjuna is feeling the limbs of my body quivering. Sidanti mama gatrani. Sidanti means quivering. There is trembling. The entire mama gatrani. Gatrani means each and every limbs. Each and every limb of Arjuna's body was actually quivering because of great anxiety. This is a sign of great anxiety. So anyone who develops some kind of a great fear or anxiety, you might have observed it, experienced it in your life. Sometimes when you become very fearful because of something, either because suppose when you were small kids, a child, so if you, because of some mistake, if you become very fearful of your father or mother, so that time entire body shakes. There is quivering in the entire body. So this quivering or the shaking of the limbs of the body signifies that there is great fear of loss, fear of losing something, and that is that creates a great mental anxiety, mental disturbances, a great mental pressure which cannot be tolerated. So that is the result of developing this material compassion. So Arjuna has developed this material compassion, and because of which he has developed such a great material anxiety and fearfulness that his entire body is trembling. uh, and not just entire body is trembling. Mukham cha parishusyati. His mouth is drying up. So he has to take water again and again. Just like some or other, my mouth is drying up again and again. I have to drink water, but the cause is something different. There is no mental anxiety. Uh, but in general, when there is great mental anxiety, sometimes the mouth becomes dried up, and there is trembling and quivering of the entire limbs of the body. So this is the symptoms Arjuna is experiencing in his body because of developing this material compassion. So especially because Arjuna is developing these symptoms, this great anxiety, because the other party, Yujutsum, Yujutsum Samupasitam, because all those relatives to whom Arjuna is seeing in this battlefield, they have come with full determination to fight. So this Yujutsum means all in a fighting spirit. So all the soldiers present there, Samupasitam. Samupasitam means Samyak Rupena Upasitam. All were present with full determination. Means completely, they were present completely, means with full conviction that they are going to fight. So they were so eager to fight that created a great fear and anxiety in the heart of Arjuna. And that fear is because of this losing them, the fear of losing the relatives. So this is being explained in this verse. So any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly persons or in the demigods, whereas the non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications by education and culture, lacks in good qualities. So this is there is another positive point also regarding this verse. So Arjuna, although he got affected with material bodily concept of life, which is giving so much anxiety and which is actually wrong. Arjuna should not have developed this illusory material concept of life. But another point is because Arjuna was a great devotee of Krishna, so he had this natural quality of compassion for others. But because of illusion, this natural quality of compassion is getting reflected in a wrong way, in a material way, which is becoming cause of his despondency or anxiety. But this is also a fact. Only Arjuna, a great devotee like Arjuna, can develop such a great compassion. As such, Arjuna, just after seeing his kinsmen, friends, and relatives on the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by compassion for them who had so decided to fight among themselves. So, as far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. So, that is the quality of a great devotee, that not only for his own party, he feels compassion, but for others also who are determined to act as his enemy, is still a devotee. Because of having pure devotion to Krishna, he has this natural quality of being compassionate towards all the living entities. That's why Arjuna is showing compassion even for the enemies who are determined to fight against Arjuna. And while he was so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit. Practically the whole community, all blood relatives of Arjuna had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjuna. Although it is not mentioned here, still one can easily imagine that not only were Arjuna's bodily limbs were quivering and his mouth drying up, but he was also crying out of compassion. So although not mentioned, but we can understand that out of great anxiety and this compassion for his friends and relatives, Arjuna's body was quivering, his mouth was drying up, and also he was crying also. So such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. So these symptoms are not because of Arjuna was getting fearful of fighting against them. Arjuna did not become fearful after seeing that so many great warriors are there, and he is becoming fearful because of losing the battle. No, the symptoms are not because of Arjuna's fear for himself, but the symptoms are manifested because of Arjuna's fear for losing his relatives. That is why he is developing this kind of uh, fearfulness, these symptoms. And this is the result of his, not because of weakness of heart, but soft heartedness. That is a symptom of a devotee. So sometimes it happens because a devotee, genuine devotee, his heart is very soft. Sometimes it happens that because of his softness, he becomes unnecessarily compassionate towards his friends and relatives and parents. And that is not because of weakness, but that is because of soft-heartedness. But because of illusion, this soft-heartedness characteristic sometimes becomes an obstacle for the purpose of executing the service to Krishna. Just like in this case, Arjuna's case, although these symptoms are not because of bad quality in Arjuna, this is because of his great quality of being a pure devotee, his soft-heartedness, but still, because it is coming out of uh, illusory and concept of life, that is material consciousness, it is going to be an obstacle in his execution to the service of the Supreme Lord. That's why Krishna will treat in such a manner that he will remove the illusory concept of life illusion from Arjuna's consciousness, and the same soft-heartedness then will be dovetailed, will be then dovetailed towards serving Krishna and Krishna's devotees. So that is the business of the Supreme Lord. He does it very wonderfully to change the illusory platform of his devotees' consciousness to a spiritual platform. So it is said, therefore, यस्यास्ति भक्तिर्भगवति अकिञ्चना सर्वैर्गुणैस्तत्र समासते सुरा हरावभक्तस्य कुतो महद्गुणा मनोरथेनासति धावतो वहि. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods, but one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. So that is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, that yasya asti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana, one who has within his heart pure devotion for the Supreme Lord, sarva guna is tatra samasate sura. Sarva guna is all the good qualities, tatra, in the person of a devotee, samasate, reside, sura, all the good qualities of demigods are present in the person of of devotee who has unflinching faith and devotion for the Supreme Lord. On the other hand, Harav means Hari, Harav Abhaktasya. On the other hand, a non-devotee who is not a devotee of Lord Hari. Kuto Mahat Guna, where is the question of having any kind of good quality? There cannot be any kind of good quality. Or in other words, we can say, even if some apparent good qualities are exhibited by a person who is not devoted to the Supreme Lord, that is only a show bottle good quality. That is only for the sake of showing, for the purpose of acquiring some kind of material benefit, sense gratification, name or fame. That's all. Because the reason is, one who is not a devotee of the Supreme Lord, his mind is always flickering. Mano, rathe na sati dhavato bahi. Bahi means towards external world. Because he sits on the chariot of mind and he is simply hovering all over the world for the purpose of sense gratification. And for the purpose of fulfilling sense gratification, he is prepared to act in any proper or improper way. Sometimes it is required to act in a proper way, so-called proper way. So it may appear that, wow, although he is not a devotee, he is a perfect gentleman. But no gentleman. He is simply showing this just to fulfill his material sense gratificatory desires. But the qualities which are exhibited by the devotees of the Lord, they are actual qualities because their concern is to serve the Supreme Lord. Okay. So with this, we shall stop here. Thank you very much. If anyone is having any question, you can ask. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. I will. Okay. No, no, we don't say. The question is that we should not develop material compassion. So should we not pray for our friends and relatives? No, we can pray, but our prayer should be dovetailed in Krishna consciousness. That means, first of all, we should understand who they are, who we are, and who we are and who they are. All of us are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We are actually relatives of Krishna. Krishna is our real Swajan, and they are also a real Swajan of Krishna. So instead of asking Krishna, my dear Krishna, please protect my son, we should ask Krishna, my dear Krishna, please give me intelligence. How can I serve your son nicely so that he can become your surrendered devotee? Nice son. So that in that consciousness, we should serve our relatives and friends. And in that consciousness, we should pray for their welfare. That is good prayer. Suppose if I suppose if a person has got three brothers and I have no connection with them, only with one brother I'm connected. He is in my company, so we are serving together. Okay, so after some times we develop some friendship. So if I go to his elder brother or his father, and if I say that, oh uncle, oh brother, please take care of my friend nicely. Please take care of my brother. So this is very illogical. The father will think, "Who are you to tell me? He is my son. I have given birth to him. So this is my duty. I know what is better for him. You don't tell me. You go away. You just go away. I know. And this time to beat him, to chastise him, that is good for him. So you don't come on my way and tell me that why are you chastising, uncle? You should do good to my brother. He's my brother. Your brother, he has become your brother after joining company within few months. But he is actually son of his father, so father knows what is better for the son. Similarly, in this life, we come across so many friends, relatives, parents, wives, children, so many relatives for the time being, for few years, 10, 20, 50, 60 years. And we claim he is my swajan, he is my relative. But all these living entities are eternally connected with the Supreme Lord. So Krishna has got more compassion, more love and affection for each and every living entity. So let Krishna decide what to do with them. Krishna knows better what is better for them. So we are not actually in a position to tell Krishna that you do like this for this particular relative. If we do like this, if we ask like this is a great insult or disrespect to the Supreme Lord. But Krishna never discourages this. He's such a kind-hearted personality. He's so compassionate. He's so merciful. Even if a person goes to him and tells, "Please do some good to my wife, my father, my relative, my son," so Krishna inside he thinks, "Oh, how come he has become your relative, your husband or your wife, your children? He's my son, my part and parcel. You are also my son." But still, he is compassionate. So he uh, allows us to pray like this. ऐसा प्रेयर करेंगे. Yes, thank you. Aniket Pro is very nice. He is telling that he has prayed to Krishna कि मेरी प्यास बुझा दे. Okay, I'm feeling so thirsty.